Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I'm super excited to have a guest with us. His name is Jesse Kalsi. And of course, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today, we're broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Please be sure and leave any comments or get to know our guests. Pop in any stream where you see this. It could be on Facebook. It of course, it's on the network. It is, of course, on YouTube, Rumble, all the typical streaming services. So definitely leave us a comment for one of our guests. Today, we're embarking on a fascinating journey into the unseen forces that shape our lives, particularly those emanating from the very spaces that we inhabit. Have you ever walked into a home and had an immediate sense of peace, or maybe perhaps a sense of unease, and you don't know why you're getting this feeling, but you are? Well, maybe it's an address that somehow can be influencing all of our destinies. Well, today, our guest believes he's not only revealing this, but also how you can practice ways to harness these energies for a more harmonious and prosperous life. And today, as I said, we're honored to have Jesse Kalsi. He is a renowned expert in Vedic numerology and astronumerology, and the visionary author of a groundbreaking book, The Power of Home Numbers. And let me bring Jesse onto the stage. Jesse, hi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so delighted to be here, Carolyn.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us, it's definitely a pleasure to have you with us so we can unpack all of this wisdom in this remarkable book. So you have a very detailed biography, and I'm going to step aside for a minute and let you tell folks a little bit about your background and about your book, and then we could get started with the questions, and I'll get your ticker running up here. So of course, we'll have all the information as to where folks can contact you on social media. I know you like to tout your Instagram profile, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, I'm going to step aside for a minute and let you take the stage and tell folks all about your background and about your book. And of course, we're going to hop into the questions right after that.
All right. So I came to the United States in 1988, so it's been some time now. And my background was the Indian Army. I served as a captain in an elite infantry unit. And as my karma and my destiny had changed, I've had the good fortune to come to the United States. Like most immigrants, living in the United States or coming here as an immigrant is not easy. It's a very difficult experience to start with, and like most of them, my mind was pretty much the same. I came to the state of California, and that was purely on my intuition, my sixth sense, and my basic knowledge of numbers. And that was after I finished my flight training at a flight school in Texas, at Meacham Airport, and the flight school was Acme School of Aeronautics then. And then after I came to the Bay Area, I joined a flight school here at Hayward Airport, where I was instructing for a short period of time before I ventured into real estate. In my early days of struggling here, I would always wonder, and I used to think, how would I ever get out of this situation? And I remember in my apartment here in San Leandro, I would just make circles around that first floor building, right? And often think what would happen, or how would I come out of this? And I remember my apartment unit at that time was a number 27, and then based on my numbers. I felt intuitively that I should add some numbers to those numbers there to change the energy. And I thought that some numbers, like the numbers threes and sixes, were mine, and I used a combination to shift the energy on the door. And that happened very intuitively. And why I picked those numbers were primarily because I felt that they were in flow with my energy. And the truth is that soon after that, many opportunities started coming to my door, and my life started shifting and improving, and it changed gear to getting better and becoming more comfortable over the years. Numerology, ever since, has been my passion. I'm fascinated by numbers. I've lived numbers. I've researched numbers as a real estate broker here in the state of California for many years. For many years, I've used numbers for my clients to find them the best properties, buy and sell, and by the grace of God, most of my clients, I'll say most of my clients, not all, most of my clients have made huge equities here buying properties in Northern California, which is high priced real estate. So what I learned from my experience using numbers as a real estate broker, I put it all in a book called The Power of Home Numbers to educate the wider audience and to tell them how important numbers are in our lives. Very important. And these numbers, actually, they work in the entire gamut. They are the whole spectrum of application. But home numbers is what I have applied and researched, and I've lived in those numbers myself, uh, and they have tremendously helped me and changed my life. Now, it is very important to understand that we have to know our basic numerology, which is our date of birth, and based on our basic energy is how we pick up the best vibrations. So now, I'll give you my own example. I was born on April 3rd of some year, and my basic numerology, it always worked with numbers threes and number nines, which is Jupiter and Mars energy. And so what I did was, I always lived in a house number. I've flipped many houses. I've lived in many homes here. I always lived in a number nine. I like 27s and 36s, and that energy, I stuck with that. And then in the then sometime I did experiment with some other numbers, looking at some beautiful properties, but then soon realized that it was not a good looking home. It was actually the vibration of the door that would change my luck or bring better energy to me. So that is what I advocate. I feel very strongly, and I've lived them for many years, that you have to be in the right energy. Many, when people go shopping for homes, right? I'm a realtor, I'm a broker, and I've done this for many years. I've seen real estate agents. They're more in a rush to make their commission, right? They don't realize, the family of two, maybe two small children, maybe father, mother, right, starting out somewhere, right? They're not educated. Number one, they don't care, but they only care for the commission, right? So they push you anywhere. And what often happens is, right, if those energies don't match your basic frequencies, right, those the new occupants are going to have challenging times, and they won't understand why all that is happening. And the primary reason is the address, the name on the door. Now, say for example, like I told you, Karen, my number is nine's a great number for me, or three is a great number for me based on my date of birth, right? My basic energy. And you tell me, hey, Jesse, there's a property here, right here in Manhattan, and it's a great deal, and you can buy it, and you can flip it or do whatever, live in it, and the number is 1080, because you said that nine is a good number for you. So what do you think? You think I should go and buy it or live in it because it's the number nine? What would you say?
Well, that's a tough one to answer because I think I would go more on the aesthetics of the property and the location rather than the number. I think
Good,
that's what
okay. Yeah,
most people do.
yeah. So, I'm just trying to kind of quiz your mind a little bit. So what happens is, I'll just give you the number part of it, right? So now number one and number eight, right, a Sun and Saturn
Mhm.
energy. So whenever Sun and Saturn come together, right, even if you have that frequency, that never work with you, right? And an energy like this is going to go into something like cuts, injuries, accidents, legal trouble, separation. A whole bunch of stuff is going to come in that
Yeah.
energy, the Sun and Saturn energy, right?
Mhm.
But I like what you said. You were reluctant, right? You didn't say, "Oh yeah, 8 plus 9, go." See, you stopped. That was
Right.
really good. Yeah, I like that. So things like that, right? So it's really important that you understand the basic frequency, and then besides the aesthetics and other things like that, right? That energy is very, very important. I know homes here. I know properties right here in the Silicon Valley, some very high-priced properties. A friend of mine, he works in a company here in the Silicon Valley, and very, very prominent. His daughter one time worked for in the White House as well too, and he has this one number, right, and he bought it, right, and so he met me one time. We were discussing, and his wife passed away in the same house. She was gone. What happened? Did he sell the house? No, he did not sell the house. He still stays there by himself. Then his daughter found a match, right? Someone very high profile working in that same Washington D.C. area, and so they come back to the dad, and what does the dad do? Dad says, "Okay, fine, Hindu tradition. So you want to find some north point in this house. You're going to get married right here, right? Same address." What happens after a while? They go their ways, right?
Wow.
See, so that is how that energy is drawn, right? So he's a very scientific mind, right? And you have to tell him something, but he won't believe you. You can tell him anything you want, right? I mean, he has his own point of view, his own analysis, but but that number has really not benefited him that much. So that is my point. So the basic thought is that there are many schools of thoughts, right? Many people will say, "Oh, the door has to face a certain direction," or
Right. You have
or
feng shui principles and
yeah, yeah, a
things like
certain
that.
direction, or
Right.
your kitchen should be maybe. There's a lot of people say the kitchen should be in the southeast part, or your
Mhm.
family room should be in the southwest, or your entry door should not be the southwest. So there are many schools of thoughts there, which also have they have a lot of importance. But I do believe that if you could have the best feng shui, right? But I do believe that if your numbers out in the door are not flowing with you, they'll definitely keep tripping you.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Like I've always had an interest in numbers. They've always resonated with me. Like my birthday is 3456, which is pretty interesting, right?
3-4, is that what 3-4? You
Yeah.
March the 4th.
Yeah. And
March the
my
4th.
my year is 56, so my birthday is
Oh, that's
3456.
very cool. 3-4. Yeah, so you are
Yeah.
very intuitive. Yeah, you're very intuitive, and you
Yeah.
are very intuitive. And it's interesting that you said that. So you are, yeah, you have Sun and Neptune energy that dominates your frequencies. That's number one and number seven. So number one and number seven is very, very prominent for you. And what that also means is that your entry door, if it is facing the rising sun, is be very good to you.
Mm.
That is more.
But I think most people like numbers resonate with people. People like throughout my life, I've noticed that people have lucky numbers. They say, "Oh, that's my lucky number." Like most people do resonate with a number, but I think when it comes to real estate, a lot of people, we're not only going to talk about real estate, but since
Mhm.
you brought it up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and of course, this is a copy of his book, and I'll have the link to where you can pick this up. It was an excellent read. You give a lot of examples in here of clients that you've worked with and whatnot. So I found this book to be very powerful, especially in the beginning when you talk about your journey from destitution into wealth, and you used numbers your whole life to do that, and now you're helping people do that. But for folks that aren't buying real estate, I think numbers come to us naturally. Like I don't think most people go out and say, "Well, I'm going to buy a house only with the numbers 4 and 8 in it." They kind of, like I said, go with the aesthetics of the home, the location of the home. How many bedrooms does it have? Does it need a lot of work? So there seems to be like a lot of other criteria. So how do you blend the two? Do you do that with a person's birth date and then kind of read their chart from there? Like, how does that work when you say I came to you and I'm looking to buy a home? What would you
Yeah.
do?
So, yeah, I definitely look at your basic energy, right? Like I said, it has a lot of Sun and Neptune energy, ones and sevens, right? And then, of course, and if you have a partner, if you have children, then we have to consider everybody and find a neutral vibration, right? We just can't find one that is good for you only, right? It has to work with
Right.
everybody else. And then what you're saying is absolutely right, Karen, because it is the location is very important in real estate, the aesthetics, and then the space that is needed for the number of people who have to live there.
Correct.
That is, of course, that is paramount. That's very, very important. And then, yeah, just like you said, people will go and buy properties, and then if they experience any bumps in there, right? So what over the years, which is very common, right? I mean, everybody can't find the best numbers, even if they know them really well. And so there's something called as number patching, right? It's my trademark. I researched it for many years. And so what we do, we use patches, right? Patches like another number that comes with the existing number, right? To shift the energy, because numbers are planetary frequencies. They're vibrating all the time. They represent planetary energies. So what we do is we use a number and shift it. I'll give you a very recent example. I have this one client in Irvine here in Southern California, and she's very high profile. And she had this one property there, and she's trying really hard to sell it. And the number was 29. And
Mm-hmm.
she lived there for 13 years, rough life, very poor relationships and everything else. And then, so she wanted to sell it. And then so she contacted me through her broker, right, who I know very well, and I do a lot of work with him. And so what happened was, and based on her numerology, right, I used a number five there, right? On a
Mm-hmm.
29, we got more five Mercury energy, five, is Mercury movement, that kind of energy to match her basic frequency, because she has a lot of Mercury on her chart. And
Mm-hmm.
just a couple, and she was so frustrated with the market's kind of tight right now, and there's so many properties that are available, right? And all the buyers are negotiating lower deals right now. And she was trying and trying. We shifted the vibe five, and the first offer came, and they got greedy, and then she was like down and I said, just relax. I said, give it another week or so. Second open house, she got a full price offer. And just yesterday she closed. And I know for a fact, had we not moved that energy on that house using that number, that would have been stuck there. You
Well, how
know?
did you do that? Because addresses are addresses. So, like how you mentioned in your book too, that
Yeah, yeah.
you can alter your address. How do you do something like that? Because that's designated to you. So
You're
you
right.
really
That's right.
right.
Yeah, you're right. So number patching I'll tell you what it is. So number patching is my trademark. It's a technique, right? So what I do is we use smaller numbers, smaller numbers, so, with existing numbers. The thought being to change the energy, but not confuse the mailman, right? That is
Yes.
that is not an address to confuse the mailman, or you can use it. No, no, no. You don't do that. That is only use a small vibration, a smaller patch to shift the energy, on the door. I mean, the moment you do that with the right vibration, right, it starts correcting on the door. And I've done this for, I'd say, more than 25 years, patching
Wow.
across the board. And we've done it here in the United States, it's worldwide, and it's all over the place. We've done this, right? And people have tried it in their businesses. They've, shifted energies on their sales, on homes, residences, buying, selling, and selling a lot. A lot of selling has happened with this patching business. Yeah.
So how does that work? So, like hypothetically, say, I don't know, pick a number. Say your address has it's just number 4 or number 6. It could be anything. Say it's number 4, and say how you want to bring more. You want to change the vibration, the energy, the frequency of your
Yeah.
home. How do you do that? How do you begin to patch that number? How does that work?
Okay, so now what happens is, see, number four is Uranus energy, and Uranus is kind of, it's unstable energy, right? It just moves very quickly, and Uranus, if it is placed correctly, can also draw a lot of wealth. Uranus does it all the time. So, depending on your date of birth, say for example, if the person who's living in that space has a lot of say sun and moon, the one and two energy there, right? Basic foundation. The people have sun and moon on the date of birth. So what we can do is we can use a number two. See, moon and Uranus, right? Twos and fours kind of come together very well, right? Or if you're in that residence, if you want to flip it, sell it, right? I'd go more with a one patch, make it one and four, sun and Uranus, and then shift it like that, right? So this patching business is a little complicated, right? It's not like one shoe fits all. It'll look at
Yes.
everything and then arrive at the best combination, right? And then use a small patch, preferably in yellow and gold color stickers.
So, oh, what do you put this on your door then? So, like, say someone's mailbox has a number on it and you don't want to confuse the mailman. but yet you want to do a number patch. What do? You just paint it on your door? Like, how does that work?
No, don't paint it. You can buy a small sticker for 90 cents, like a yellow sticker,
Yeah.
and just place it there. That's it. Put it by the numbers. Sometimes what happens is, if there are more than one number, then we'll have to see, maybe it could come in the beginning, or it could come in the end, or it could come in the middle, because those numbers have to the energy has to kind of flow, right? Say, for example, if there's a number 8 somewhere there, in the middle, 8 is Saturn energy. And if you want to use a path, which is the number 4, you don't put it with the 8, because 4s and 8s, they're kind of scuttling, going downwards, So you don't want that frequency on the door. And then I initially also mentioned the number 4 and the 8. So 4s and 8s, they kind of always drawn to one another. But say, for example, you end up in a residence or an apartment which is like 8-4 or 4-8 kind of energy, right? Those are always, they'll bring many challenging situations, alcohol abuse and financial challenges, and just a situation where you find it's very hard for you to kind of come out of that pit, right? So those numbers like that have to be patched. I mean, if you don't know what you've got into, right? And I have many clients like that who are in situations, and we've patched those homes, and we've worked them out of there. But wherever I have patched homes, in my experience, right, there's been a change. There has been a shift. The energy has shifted. The energy has shifted and corrected every single time. Yeah.
Mm.
So this is a very powerful technique, and I do want the audience to. Yeah, I mean, they're more than have. They should go research it themselves, understand it, learn a little more. But the only thing is, it's a little complicated, right? And they should definitely apply it. And if they need more information, you can get in touch with me.
Sure. Where else can you benefit from this type of numerology other than real estate? So, like,
Okay.
where else is it prevalent in our lives?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Now, say, for example, we look at our names, the way our names are written, right? The way our names are written. Now, our names are very, very important, right? The way they're written and the way they're vibrating in the universe, right? And that energy, as it swings up and down, is what it will attract. It raises your frequency. So if your name energy or your frequency is not in tune with your basic energy, right, and that will also bring a lot of, like, you'll be bumping your heads many places, right? You know how it is, and you won't understand what is happening. It could
Yeah.
affect your personal life, it could affect your work, business, job, everything.
Right.
So yeah, so the name correction or adjustment or living with the best vibration, right, is very, very important. It's very, very important. And then just like that, if you have a business, right, your business is also very important. The name of the business is very, very important, depending on the type of the business, right? You know how it is? It's very, very important that you have the right vibration so that business is successful. See, that business is successful. See, like right now, the whole world is talking about, this one crypto is called XRP, right? You heard of that? Yeah. See, 3 letters on XRP, you got Venus energy. You know how it is? And see how it's held its ground and it's just grinding upward, right? See how it is? It's just grinding upwards endlessly. So that is the name again. So there are many other, such cryptos, right, with different names. But I believe that those vibrations are very important, right, to shift, raise vibe, and bring a lot of success.
How does a person change the vibration of their God-given name? Like, how do they do that?
It's, see, now, say my official name is not I was not born as Jesse, right? My official name is Jasbir, is my name, is my parents gave me. But then when I came to the States, I started using Jesse. More people used to call me Jesse there. So I just used the spelling and made it Jesse Kalsi to flow more with my own basic energy. So I've had this for quite some time. And soon after this, I attracted a lot of media and a whole bunch of other stuff ever since 1999, right? So that's what it does. It'll shift. So now it's basically correcting. It is correcting the alphabets, or adding an alphabet, or just keeping that keeping that pronunciation the same, but shifting the vibration, right? You see, that's how it is. Let me quickly see. I can see your name here: 5, 10, 14, 7, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's interesting. You have Mars energy on your name too. 3, 4. Just give me 1 second. 3, 4.
Yeah.
13 and 16. And one's 17 and 10 is 27. Yeah, that's interesting. So, it's very interesting. Your name vibration and my name is the same.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, it is.
And how is that? Explain that.
Okay, now, so what happens is we use the Chaldean code, right? So if you go online and if you just go the Chaldean code, right? And then if you apply those numbers to your name here, right? So three is one, sorry, C is three, A is one, R is two, O is seven, and then L is three, and then one and five, five. So you add them across, it'll be a 27, right? And if you add Jesse Kalsi across, 17 and 10 is also a 27.
Oh, that's funny. What was that website?
No, if you go online and
Yeah.
let me, I'll just, you can just get it very quickly. So I'll spell it for you: Chaldean, Chaldean code. If you push
All
that,
right.
many codes that it'll pop right out. It's been there for. This is what they use in East India. This is a Vedic code they use everywhere. So apply
Yeah,
that.
my daughter-in-law is Sri Lankan.
Hmm.
And she told me when I first met her that everybody that's born, and I've spoken to other people of Indian descent and fascinated that everybody that's born gets this like astrological chart, this
Yes,
book.
chart.
And I
Yeah.
was so impressed by that. And this one gentleman I know was explaining to me everything that's in it and how most times it comes true for that person's life. So that's, and they use a lot of numbers in that too, because it's like astrology based as
Yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah.
Did this influence you as well? Like you said, you became like famous overnight. People were talking about you and reaching out to you. How did you break through to people? Did you start doing readings for them and then you just became more and more like wanted for that?
Yeah, after I got into property and real estate, I wasn't like promoting myself as a numerologist or anything. I was just kind of helping people with numbers and things like that. And so I remember, I'll give you a quick example of this. One gal, she came to see me in 1997, right? And she heard about me, and she comes to see me, and then I did a reading for her, and she had her own radio station, and then I did a reading for her, and soon after she was done, she goes back to her car and she calls a radio station in San Francisco, and her name was Bonnie Colleen. She ran this show called Seeing Beyond, and it used to come in the morning time at 7 o'clock traffic time, right? But that was very mysterious. I couldn't understand that myself. I just felt as if my guides had
Yeah.
created this opportunity, right? And she came, and then I did a reading for her, and then she was there, and she paid me my fees, but she was not happy. So I said, "What happened?" And she looks at my face and she says, "I married a guy who wears a turban like you, and he's giving me a very hard time." And that's how she left, right? And I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." But then she goes to her car. It was a rainy day, right? And then she makes a call to Bonnie Colleen's station from her car in San Francisco. And then for some reason, Bonnie's very intuitive. So she called me like a few days later, and she said, one of my listeners has called me and she told me this. And she said, "Would you like to come to my radio station?" And
Ah,
Karen, I had never been on a radio station ever before, right? And so then I just said, yeah, I just said, she said, "Oh, you just come here and we'll just do a little interview and talk about numbers and things like that." And then so she gave me a date, and I ended up at a station in San Francisco. And I thought maybe, she'd ask me a few questions, and the usual stuff, and then I'll be done, right? And so after she was done with the last guest, so I go into the studio, and she was there and all those lights buzzing there. So I sat down there and I was kind of relaxed, right? I said, "We'll see what happens." And then as she went in the air and she introduced me, and then soon after, there were a whole bunch of people waiting to ask questions, and I was nervous. I said, "Oh my God, she's put me on a spot now. It's traffic time and the whole world's
yeah.
listening, right?" And it's like suddenly, you say, "Oh my, what's going to happen now?" Right? And I remember the first call was this one lady, she had this British accent. She calls me, and then she asked me a question about her. I asked her date of birth and something, and then I told her that based on your numbers, right, you will have some issues, stomach downwards, some gynecological issues, right? And then she says, "Oh my God, this is so true," and all. So the host says, "What? So what is so true?" She says, "Oh, tomorrow, she says I have to leave for the UK tomorrow for some kind of a surgery or something." But that was kind of so mysterious, right? As if it's like God put you on a spot, right? And
Yes.
that was, I felt like God put you on a spot and said, "Here, I open the door for you." Right? And soon after that, I felt so relieved. I said, "Oh my God, this is absolutely unexpected," right? You know, and that was the first one I did, and then after that, there've been many have followed, but
Wow.
life is so mysterious, right? I mean, this
Oh,
I have
yes.
no explanation for that. I have no explanation, but that's how it started, from nowhere, from nowhere.
That's great. Do you think that a lot of this has to do with the belief, kind of like the way, say, voodoo works? If someone tells you they casted a voodoo spell on you, say,
Uh
it
huh.
works on your mind and then you prophesize it and make it come true. Do you think numbers have that type of effect? So if you tell someone, that, and I'm not discounting what you're doing, I'm just wondering where this energy comes from. Does it really come from this astrological connection to numbers, or is it more related to the power that we give them, say?
No, I think it is more related to the numbers and how they are, how they are connected on this dimension, right? And then honestly, I wouldn't, I mean, know the earlier part of what you just mentioned, but when I talk to people, I look at them as planetary energies. That's how what I learned, and that's how I've used them, right? And then if I tell somebody, I mean, people still have their mind. You can tell them anything you want, right? They will believe you or they will not believe you, right?
True.
You cannot push your opinion on nobody, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
so I've had I mean, and neither do I actually, I mean, I just feel that the energy flows, and you know and I don't I have a website, and I promote myself through my work, through my books now. When people call me,
Sure.
in all cases it is someone who's read your book and has questions. It just
Yeah.
comes like that now. So, and that's how I've let it be. But
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that you combined ancient Vedic numerology
yeah, yes,
with
yes,
your own like extensive knowledge. Can
yes.
you elaborate, like, how did you integrate these two aspects? Were there any specific Vedic principles that you found particularly challenging or rewarding that you adapted into this like modern era?
Uh, No, see now, astrology and numerology, they're all connected. It's all interconnected. So if I say that, the energy of Mercury used in numerology is represented by number five, that is how it is. I'm not making anything up. That is
Yeah.
how the Vedic tradition will say it. Or they say if Saturn is number eight, that is how it is. It's already, that is how the tradition goes, right? It's not me. But then how it is applied, right? And how it's applied numerology is what I do, right? Now there are many people here. Now they say, oh, number eight is a great number, for example, right? I had this one couple, they lived in they spent some time in France, and they came back to Florida. And then from Florida, this gal read my book, and she calls me, right? And she says, I had this, I met somebody in Paris, and she told me, take the sticker and number eight and keep it in your bag all the time, and it'll attract a lot of wealth and all that. And so I said, what happened? So nothing happened, because that eight was not her vibration. See, eight is Saturn, and Saturn, as per astrology, not astrology, is a cold planet. It's deliberate. It takes its own time, and it has a lot to do with our success in our lives, right? So if a Saturn is well placed in your chart, right, in your Vedic chart, your life's just going to be great, grand, no issues, right? But if your Saturn is not well placed, right, Saturn is going to really drag you through the mud, right, all your
Mhm.
life. Yeah. So that is how it is, and the energy is number eight. Now, say for example, if you have an eight date of birth, right? Just for example, say you're born on January the 8th, right? So Elvis Presley's date of birth, right? That's general. So the month of January is cold, and it is represented by Saturn energy. Saturn rules the Capricorn. So, and number is eight, right? So, and then you come on a date of birth, which is another number eight, right? So you've come with a lot of restriction, right? So what
Yeah.
that means is like you have to work for that dollar, It'll make you work very, very hard, all the way up until you're 30 years old, right? It'll drag and drag and drag, right?
Mm.
And then it'll suddenly give you a break. It'll give you a huge break. You suddenly be very wealthy. You'll have real estate, property. You have make huge money depending on the way your name is written, right? But then what will happen is you'll always, because Saturn is cold, it'll make you feel that you're missing something. It's like you're always empty all your life, like you're missing your parents. You'll go out of your way to help your relatives. You know how it is? Your family members.
Hmm.
You always spin around your mother's energy, right? You be there. It's like that. And you'll just keep giving to your family endlessly. They'll take advantage of you, right? You own a lot of real estate, but you'll be still missing something all your life, emptiness. You sit with emptiness, right? But then to balance that energy, right? So Saturn can be balanced with more, say, Mercury, which is 5, or Venus 6, you know. So these are basic planets that manage your energy. Now, if you see, right,
Yeah.
there are certain stars, right? I won't take any names here, who had weak Saturn energy. So what they did was they started wearing a blue sapphire. A blue
Mm.
sapphire represents Saturn energy. It's very powerful. If that Saturn energy is depleted, say if you're a Libra and you're in a dump a little bit, because and you pick 8 up, you wear a blue sapphire, middle finger right here, and that can shift your energy tremendously. It can bring your luck up
Wow.
through the roof. It'll take you through the roof. India's biggest star, take his name. Amitabh Bachchan is India's mega star, mega star.
Mm.
Right? If you look at his finger, right, he's got a blue sapphire right here, Libra energy, and he himself accepts it. He took off, his career went up, and suddenly he became bankrupt, right down on the floor, right,
Oh boy.
straight down. And then came the blue sapphire, and he came. Now, if you look at his hand, he always had a blue sapphire. He has an
Does
emerald ring
that
in his
work
hand.
does that work for everyone or just
No, no,
certain?
no, 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 no. It's not for everyone. It has to. You have to look at your chart, right? It doesn't work. Now, see, for me, right, with my Mars energy, I cannot wear a blue sapphire, and neither can you, by the way.
Ah. So
Yeah.
like I'm a Pisces. What would be like ideal for someone?
Yellow, I would say for you, right? Jupiter energy. Jupiter is expansive, right? Jupiter is huge. I say a yellow sapphire would be excellent for you, and you can also wear a ruby. By the way, ruby be great for you too. So these two gemstones be fantastic. Other stones, you can also wear a cat's eye if you want. A cat's eye also protect you, from the mystery, from the unknown, and that'll be very good for you too. So these 3 stones you
You know,
must
it's
know.
it's funny. I was so drawn to recently citrine, a
Yeah,
yellow
yeah,
citrine.
that is the best one for you.
Oh, no kidding. So yellow or ruby would be
Ruby,
ideal.
yeah.
So like in your book, you give a lot of examples. Like I'm looking at it right now. You talk about the correlations of like the numbers 5 and 1 or 9 and 6. So can the average person read this and like somebody buys your book, what can they do with this right away, like after reading it, to help themselves, not only with real estate, but just with life, like in general? So
Okay.
how like what would the first step be?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So, the first thing is, I'd like to tell you this, Carolyn, that this is not a how-to book.
Right.
This is not a how-to book. So, if you buy this book and say that you know it all, no, you will not know it all, because these. So there's so many combination of numbers, right?
Yeah.
And this has examples of people that I have met, right? So, and this will give you a lot of information. Maybe it'll raise your antennas, right? And who knows, you might discern a lot of information from here, or maybe you might be able to apply it correctly too. But this is not a how-to book. It has a lot of information, but you'll definitely learn a lot from it. You know how it
Mm.
is. It'll make you aware, that there is something that we need to consider, right? That there is something that we need to consider. And you'll go back and you look at all your numbers. Maybe you look at your telephone numbers, those matter too.
Yeah.
Maybe you can look at the color of your car, that matters too. Maybe you look at the license plate of the car, that matters too. Maybe you look at your social security number, but that cannot be changed, right? That'll stay there. But that matters too, right? So wherever numbers appear, right,
Yeah.
this start mattering, right? Maybe the date of birth of your your spouse, right, is kind of clashing with you. I mean, love is such a huge thing now, right? And half the time you don't know. I mean, other is the basic frequency, even connecting, right? I mean, you just get attracted to somebody and then realize, oh well, something is amiss, right? So it's like that,
So let me ask you, certain numbers we can fudge, we could play around with, like
yeah.
your address and certain things. But numbers that come to us that are designated to us, like our social security number, phone numbers, things that are given to us, the license plate numbers that are kind of out of our control. And do these numbers come to us as part of our soul journey? Like, is it just that's the way they are and there's not much you could do about it? Like, we're stuck with these numbers, even if they're, not good for us? How does that work?
So let me see. Social cannot be changed, so you have to live
Right.
with it, right? No, forget. Social is social. That's it, full and final. And that also, depending on how it vibrates, it could be great for you, or it might not be work good for you. So that'll stay the way it is. Okay, your cars, car numbers, you can get those private license plate numbers. I have many clients. I have many celebrity clients in Bollywood, right? And I have my own cars too. I have private license plate numbers, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that can be done. It's no big deal. Phone numbers again, uh, earlier what would happen is, I remember we used to have clients who we get on the phone with the telephone company and they'll say, okay, these 10 numbers, right? These 10, take a list of 10 and tell us which one you want, right? But not anymore. Now they'll just give you a generic number, take it or leave it, right? So, but those numbers, if you go back and we request them again, they will change it. But it's a little harder now. You pretty much have to live with those numbers. Now, what happens is because telephone phones is see that frequency has it's communication, it's an energy exchange, right? You're talking and it's moving all the time.
Yep.
So in those numbers, basically, if you have more mercury, which is communication, more fives in your number, right, is always good to have on a phone number, right? Fives. A lot of people I've seen from the Orient, they prefer all these eights in there, which I think will slow you down. I wouldn't say too many eights is a good idea, but Mercury fives definitely. A sun with number one or number seven, the mystery is also really good. Threes are good to have there too. That's what I believe, and I have numbers like that too. Which
What about when, like you see all over the internet, people are into angel numbers and they'll go, oh, I saw, 111 or 211 or whatever the number is. And they'll say that's an angel number. And then you look that up on the internet and it tells you what this angel number means. And they're telling you, oh, you need to pay attention to like repeating numbers and angel numbers. Is this true for you? And like, how do these things affect you? So if you say you see a number all the time and you just keep seeing this number, what meaning does that hold? Does it hold a significant meaning?
yeah, there's definitely a message from the universe, right? I mean, I look at it like
Yeah.
that. There is a message from the universe. I see triple five quite a bit. Mercury coming three times, and I see that. And when you're driving out, suddenly your eyes goes on license plates. I observe that as well, right? What I see and what I see, right? And so I basically deduce that based on my own energy. So if I see certain numbers, which I'm not kind of very happy with, I know it's kind of off, right? But if I see numbers that are flowy or then I know intuitively that it's a good vibration, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the people do see this a lot these days, right? But I
Oh,
do,
yeah.
yeah, but I do feel that if that energy is working or is in flow with your own energy, then it is it's good. But otherwise, it could be the other side too. The other side of the
Right.
message.
Right.
But yes,
Right.
I absolutely agree with that. That is absolutely true, and it is.
What about lottery numbers? Like, have you ever brought success to folks by helping them find, numbers to hit the lottery? Like, what's your experience been with that?
Okay. See, I'll tell you something, right? As far as I'm concerned, right? I don't go and play the lottery, right? I don't. I don't spend my money there. But I tell you, I have a client in Southern California, right? He's a medical professional, right? He's done really well, and he's from the African continent. He's settled here. and I've known him for many, many years. He's a client of mine, right? And he absolutely, but he's very intuitive too. He's a very smart guy, right? And uh, and I remember I went to his house in Irvine one time, and we were talking about crystals and numbers when he was. So he was living in a house number 11, right? 11 is sun twice, right? So what happens is in homes like that, sun when sun comes two times on your residence, right? It'll create relationship challenges, right?
Mm.
Absolutely do, right? And then it'll also money also the money becomes a little bit of an issue too. So I remember when we went to his house at one time where we used the number four in the middle. So you go one and then one and we put a four in the middle, right? And
Mhm.
I shifted that energy to flow more with his date of birth. He's born some in the month of May somewhere, and this guy he loves to go and play the lotto all the time. In fact, he calls me very often. And then, so what happened was, um, and he was preparing his house for sale at that time. And then a lot of work had to be done in the kitchen area. So he calls me and tells me, he says, Jesse, I won $72,000. He says, and that was enough to fix my kitchen and all the
Oh,
cabinets and everything, right? And then the house was sold at the right time, right, for a whole
wow.
bunch of money. For I mean, he's renting now. He's a very smart man. But I mean, that is my experience with you
So
know.
that helped him manifest just what he needed.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But he's kind of he reads my book again and again, and he always wonders why this and why that, and I like because he's a medical professional, so he's into reading and all that. And he always asks me if he goes to this store, okay, the number of the store is this. Shall I go to that store and that store and that store? So the other day we picked up one store which was matching. So typically, number eight is not a good place to go, but he has a lot of Mercury energy, five, right?
Mm.
So we send him to a number eight store and he won $800, right? But I keep telling him,
Wow.
right, you should slow down on your, on this business. I mean, he has a lot of other investments too, but he
Yeah.
just can't let that go. Yeah.
But you never tried using your number knowledge to play the lottery or anything like that. You had no interest in
No,
doing
I have my, honestly, I have used numbers, but not for lotto, right? I have used them for at other places, I've done research and I've applied that information there, and I'm grateful for, whatever I know, I've applied it, but
yes,
not the
yes.
lotto, but
Not
yeah,
the
things,
lotto.
yeah, not the lotto, yeah.
Yeah. So you've from your book, you've attained a lot of success through real estate, right?
Yes,
By applying, these principles to buying and selling homes, right? Or
yes,
telling other people how to do that for themselves. So
yes.
if somebody came upon a property and the numbers didn't jive for them, but they really love the house, would they not buy the house? Would they look for another property? Or would they change the number of the house? Like, how would that work?
See, changing is very hard, So if you're looking for a house and you go say, I want to change the house number, it's very hard to do it in the States because, see, the number goes to the city, then it goes to the fire department and everything else.
Right.
If you think that you're going to change the number, that's not going to happen at all. But if you're into a new development, a new subdivision, right, then you might get lucky with the builder there. But that's still rare, that's going to happen. But then again, it depends, right? A lot of times, people will ask you a question, right, and then say blah blah blah, but still they'll still do their own thing. They don't care, they'll say, okay, let's get his opinion and see. I mean, if we like to do that, or just like you said earlier, maybe the aesthetics and the area and the zone or whatever, they like it more, they just go with it. So it's not that anyone has to listen to me for anything, right? But they just take my opinion, right, but still do their own thing, right? So it's like that. And then at a later point, if they ever come back and ask me the same question, then you might patch it or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
depending on the situation, it's just very fluid. It's open, right? It's
Yeah. Now your book has a lot of global reach. It's available in multiple languages right now.
yes, yes, it is.
So, what have you noticed any cultural nuances about how people perceive and interact with numbers using your system? Like you said, your book's not a how to book, but people can gain knowledge by reading it. Can they
Mhm.
then apply that to themselves? Like, say, if they read in your book what the numbers two and five mean together, can they use that principle for themselves?
Yes, they absolutely can. They absolutely can. And they have people. I had this one gal the other day, a few months ago. She called me from New York and said, "Oh, I read your book and I sold my house, right?" And that was really good. I mean, there's some people are very discerning. They're very smart, right? They can quickly understand, get into it, right? It again depends on your level of, your metaphysical ability. I think that's what it is, right? How aware you are, right? And there are smart people who can decipher it very quickly, but there's some who can just keep flipping pages, and you know how it is. It just depends on the level of
Yeah. If they apply
downloading.
it. Yeah. If they apply what they're reading.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering for like folks, that have no idea how to use this principle, like what a good way for them to get started would be. So would it be like read your book and then maybe have a reading? Like you
Yes.
do readings for people, right? How do they get in touch with you to do
Uh,
this on your Instagram?
yeah, my website, I have a website, and of course, it's linked to my Instagram. You can go there and you can get a hold of me through my website, and then we can, set up a Zoom link or a Zoom meeting, right? And we can talk and discuss the numbers. And all. Yeah, I do it often. I have people from all over the world who contact me, and we talk about numbers on a regular basis. Yeah. And my
Wow.
website, yeah, it's jessiekalsi.com is the website.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
there.
And so you give them an astrological reading first and then you talk about how they can make numbers work in their lives. Like how does it work for you? What is a reading typically like?
So yeah, I get their information in advance, so we'll get the date of birth, the name, and all that, and so that way they don't waste time when they call me, right? So, we quickly go and do a quick check on the name, the way the name is vibrating for other family members, numbers and things like that, right? And then when I give them my read, and then I have them ask questions, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So whatever questions they have them there, and we
Mhm.
answer every question based on the information that they have given us, and that's why we do it. And there are a lot of very. I have this one couple I know up in the East Coast. The wife works for a tech company, and the husband is he teaches. He's a science background physics professor for a local
Wow.
college, right? Yeah. So I've had them buy a house, and they listened to my advice and they got in the right property, and that was really good actually. And I feel very happy when a lot of right brain people who are very advanced and educated, right, and they kind of stop and give this a thought, right. I also have some professors, they're out of Harvard University, and now they're working at in the National University of Singapore, right, prime positions, right. They're brilliant people, brilliant people, and I have a bunch of those I talk to all the time. Um, but I do realize, see, there's something called as, see, a bird flies with both wings. We all know that, right? Both wings. And then
Mhm.
a lot of these people are just one side, their right brains. Education is there, right? But the other side of
Yes.
spirituality, right? That other wing is not flapping, right? Is so they are there sitting at one point with just flapping with one wing, right? So there are a lot of people like that who uh, who want to fly with all they have learned on this earth, but they still
Yes.
cannot. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
lotuses people. Yeah,
Yeah, no, numbers are very, like I said before, they're very powerful. And I think a lot of people respect that, but they just don't know how to use them in their favor, And a lot of people are afraid of math and not good at math. And then that makes them shy away. They go, oh, it's too complicated for me, especially like right brain people versus left brain people.
yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
people are just innately good at math and other people aren't. But you don't need to be good at math to be able to use this system.
Exactly. No, no, you don't have to be. I have people who are just regular people, right? Just regular
Yeah,
people. They're
yeah.
very practical. You're street smart people, right? And they have done so well, right? They've done so well. They've made so much wealth, and I think they're very simple, straightforward people. They don't ask too many questions, right? And but they're very their intuition's really good. I mean, it doesn't matter, you can go to Harvard or Stanford or anywhere, you can still, end up, in darkness, right? I've seen a
Yes,
lot of those
yes.
too. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of those
Are
people too.
you a spiritual person outside of numbers? Like, do you practice a particular spirituality that
Yes,
you're
yes, I
steadfast
do.
with?
Yes, I do. I do a lot of. I'm a Sikh by birth, and I'm in prayer. I'm in big time into prayer. I'm big time into charity and donations.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell
That's
folks what a Sikh is in case they don't know. What does exactly a Sikh do? What
Sikh.
type
Yeah,
of religion is that?
Sikh faith is it originated in India, and we follow the 10 gurus. Guru Nanak was the first one. See, principally, in India now, Sikhs are just like less than 1%, right? And but they're very prominent. They're very prominent. They're now spread all over the world. They're very hardworking. Charity. We our basic foundation that we've learned from our masters is to we prayer and sitting in congregations and charity and giving is very very big. It's just like the Jews. 10% of our income has to be given out.
Oh,
We love to give help. You find big places where free food's given all the time. See, all Sikh temples, like, I mean, they're all over the world now, even here in the United States. You can go to any Sikh temple at any time of the day, and you can go there and they'll give you free food. Doesn't matter, every day, 24
yeah,
hours.
that's nice. And that doesn't this type of teaching that you have doesn't interfere with your religious aspects
No, it
either, right?
doesn't.
One
It
thing
doesn't.
has nothing to, yeah.
No, it doesn't. Because what I talk about is, it's research, right? Is published, is out for the world to see it. I've lived this experience, so I put it out to the world, right? But otherwise, I'm a very staunch Sikh, and I love to be a Sikh, and I love to do charity. I love to give all the time. I love to help people, and it just
That's
makes me very happy. It just gives me a lot of contentment. Yeah.
yeah. What's your most proud like success story that you've helped someone with numbers? Like what does stand out for you as your most proud?
There are many actually. There's one I tell you here. Some years ago, um, there's this one. A mother and a daughter came to see me right here in my office here, and
Hmm.
she was an engineer working here in the Silicon Valley, and the daughter was, I think she was in the spectrum at that. I mean, she's still, well, but she is. So we did the girl's numbers there, and so the mother looks at my face, and so I was picking up her heart chakra, right, and and then so the mother tells me, my daughter had her best friend, right? And what happened was she went to the Golden Gate Bridge and she just jumped off the bridge.
Oh,
She leapt off the bridge, right? And ever since, this girl who's sitting here, my daughter, she wants to go and be with her friend, right? She wants to join her and she wants to go and jump off the bridge. And then
oh,
I looked at the girl's face. I said, my God. So I said, okay. Then I looked at the numbers. I said, you know what? She needs to wear an emerald. Emerald is, basically mercury, communication, that kind of a crystal, right? So she said, I said, make sure she wears it around her neck and it should touch her heart chakra. So where should we get it from? I said, if you go down this mall here, this is one Jewish store, right? You go there and ask for an emerald, and that's what she did. She left my office, she went straight there, and she ordered that emerald, and I think she got it in a couple of days. Then I remember a couple of weeks later, at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she calls me, very disturbed over the phone. So she said, Jesse. I said, oh, I said, what happened? What happened? She said, oh, I will tell you something. What happened? She said, my daughter, went to, I went to work, and my daughter, she went to the Golden Gate Bridge. She got on the bus. She ended up at the Golden Gate Bridge, and she was almost ready to leap off the bridge when a bridge staff and the security, they saw her. Somebody spotted her right at the edge, right, and they just sweet talked her and pulled her hand and pulled her back.
oh my word.
Can you believe that? And I said, where is she now? She says, oh, they took her to the police station there by Golden Gate Bridge. And then when she went and got her back, right? And so I said, was she wearing that pendant that I told you? She said, yes, she was. And that was so good. Oh, I swear to God, I felt so good that day. And then I remember later, some months ago, I met her at a temple here, and then she was there with the daughter. I said, what does she do now? She says now she is a swim instructor for autistic
Oh,
kids. She
oh,
teaches
wow.
autistic
That's
kids to
nice.
swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you believe, well, obviously it sounds like you do, in the power of crystals, or is it just
Yes, yes, I
precious
do.
gems? Yeah. How does that work for you?
Crystals, I believe, are very, very powerful. I use a lot of crystals myself. I use a lot of amethyst. I've had one for maybe more than 30 years here, an amethyst that I bought one time. And I think amethyst is more with my energy too. I also use amethyst. I also use pyrite, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
bunch. But crystals are very powerful. I kind of once in a
Yeah.
while I put them out for a moon wash, clear them. I had crystals for many, many years. I have a whole bunch of them all over the place. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily like correlate. You don't have to do crystal belief or gemstones in order to make this numerology work for you, right? Or do you recommend that?
Is a relationship, See, when I said amethyst, amethyst is basically the crown chakra energy, right? And I'm
Mhm.
getting a lot of Jupiter energy, threes and nines. That amethyst energy works quite well. If you see one of my books, the one you have is different, but the other one is called All About Numbers. I have a
Mhm.
purple cover there, and there's a reason for that. I chose the higher frequency, my own energy, right? I want to put it there on that book, right? So
Mhm.
that's why I put it there, and it's very
So what does
important.
that book teach us all about numbers? How is it different than this book? You're, you know,
Yeah, this book is more focused on home numbers, primarily home numbers. But that
okay.
one has the entire gamut of numbers. I've used numbers
Oh.
extensively in many places besides home numbers only. So it has, many examples. I've talked of celebrities and gemstones and crystals and numbers everywhere. Whenever they have come in different ways and examples. So that one's different than this one, but that has a lot of information. That book has more reviews than this one for some reason, and but that is definitely a read to make a person more aware of numbers and numerology.
Yeah, yeah. So you wrote two books. Is that
Yes, two. Yeah, I'm working on another one right now, but yeah, two are published already.
and what's this book about? The one you're working on?
It's just about sports and numbers. I like sports and jersey numbers and all that. And yeah,
Oh, wow, that's cool.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So do you
Time.
do like an analysis of like men that wear certain numbers and how successful they are in
Yes,
their
yes,
career?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Jersey numbers.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
do a lot.
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Like aside from your book, are you working on any other goals or anything that maybe you have conventions that you're developing, or is there anything you're working on that you're very proud of at the moment, or is it just
I know I
focused?
have. I'm working on some promotions, right? I'm trying to spread this message in different countries, and I want to put this in celluloid, like in a Netflix kind of a thing, like a documentary,
Oh,
So I have an agent in LA. I'm working with them, so I want to put this information out so it reaches the masses, Yeah, and putting it through in like a film, audio documentary kind of thing, right? I feel would be a good way to send it out. So
yeah. So what would you do? Like show success stories in the documentary, or how you've changed people's lives with numbers? Like what would it be? Or would it be more of a story based on your life and how you came to be the person who you are today?
no, I think yeah, that of course that's very little of that, but the main idea is to promote the thought of how numbers can really help our lives, and and how important they are to be considered, right? Um, Giving many examples of, I mean, just to bring more awareness, right? Of course, my experience is I originated it, so a little bit about me, but most of it is about what numbers really do, and what can be achieved using numbers correctly.
So basically, all numbers, any of them or all of them, carry like frequency, vibration, and
Yes,
frequency, right?
yes.
So um, the numbers that are not good for you, how do you tell when you do a reading? Do you tell people? okay, the numbers 6 and 9 are not good for you and that you should avoid them in anything that you do. Do you tell them that as well? Or is it more focused on how to bring numbers to change their lives?
Yes, it's that as well. But I do, if I feel that certain numbers are not agreeable with their energy, I'll point it out. I'll say, stay away with Mars or Saturn energy, right? Which means eights and nines might not work well for you, right? Or the color black or red, which they represent, should not be working well for you. Or don't drive a black or a red color car, or don't
Wow.
wear black and red clothes, because the clothes that we wear also vibration energy, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, she said in your case you wear more light sunlight colors and orange light colors, yellow,
Yeah.
off-white colors, right? And avoid Saturn energy, right? In case red's going to flow with you guys, see the red sofa in the back, but that'll flow with your frequency. But say the energy or numbers, black color, that should be should be considered a no kind of energy. And your
Mm.
car that you drive should be more like a beige color car, like a light gold color car. That kind of energy would be very, very good for you. See
And
the
again,
color.
that all depends on your like when you're doing a reading for someone on their birth sign. So then you
Exactly.
would be able to tell them all this. So I interviewed someone not long ago, very famous astronomer. His name is George H. Lewis. And we were talking about the age of Aquarius, like that we're transitioning into this new age.
Yes.
So a lot of people, because of this new age, like we're transitioning from the age of Pisces, correct,
Yes.
into the age of. Okay, so um, with it comes a lot of spiritual awakening. Like people are discovering um, they're tapping into a new level of spirituality for themselves. Like it's an awakening for a lot of people that never dreamt of tapping into this type of spirituality before. So with it, do you think that this interest in numbers and this pull towards numbers is like that, the things are correlated together, like with the age of Aquarius? Is it something that's just happening to like mankind where we're getting this awakening and we should start paying attention to numbers? Do you see that connection?
Well, yes, I do actually. It's, um, I mean, you can't force everybody to, just pay. I mean, yeah, it just comes to you, right? When the time changes, when the
Right.
energy changes, your being, your soul, your spirit guides, they wake you up and they shake you up and they'll start
Yes.
showing you that information, right? See, as of now, this is being, it's being streamed somewhere on Facebook. So only those who have to see it will see it, right? So it's like that, and yeah, that's energy is definitely, like you said, is shifting, changing, and the souls are being given that information, right? And many times, I mean, like you and me know, I mean, many times the information keeps coming to people. I have many clients who are very, very, very intuitive, right? But they'll always second guess themselves. You know,
Yes, that's so true.
yeah, I have this one gal in Dubai, right? She's buying this big villa there, and she's very aware, very intuitive, and she knows all the answers, right? And her husband tells me, she wherever she goes, she carries your books with you in the car, which is great,
Oh, wow.
right? Yeah, and then all the time when she calls me, she knows the answer. When I ask her, she already knows it, but she doesn't trust herself. But she has to pay me money for me to tell her
Oh,
the same thing,
goodness.
right? So it's like that, right? So there are so I say people need to kind of listen to themselves. Just listen to yourself, right?
Mhm.
Just listen to yourself. That's it.
Yeah, follow your own intuition.
Yeah, yeah. Follow
Yeah.
your own intuition. That's crucial.
Yeah, yeah. So for folks that can't like afford to hire you for a reading, because there's a lot of folks that money's tight.
Yes.
They do you recommend they read this book first or your other book? Like what would give them more insight into how to use numbers for their own prosperity and mental health? Like how can they what's the first thing they should do?
I think they should read both the books, Well, and a cheaper. They should just buy the Kindle edition. Is a lot cheaper, right? This
Yeah.
one is like 1999. The Kindle is a lot cheaper, right? Maybe buy that cheaper edition on your
Yeah.
iPad and read that. So
Yeah.
spend the least of amount of money and try to get the most out of it, right? And then and God willing, then if we have to connect, we absolutely will. Yeah, we absolutely will. Uh,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because like I said, a lot of people would love to get readings, and unfortunately, times are tough for many people.
Yes, I agree with
And
that. I agree with
yeah,
that.
yeah. So they, and while we respect your time and effort, that's why, I thought maybe, in this book, if they read, like, you have a lot of sections in here that describe what the numbers mean together, and you give a lot of good examples, like, for each. So can people do that? Like, I'm just trying to understand, like here, you detail what 8 and 9 means, 7 and 1, 6 and 2. Can somebody read this and then make it work for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely they will. But like I said earlier, right? This is not a how-to book. There's a lot of information there, and I'm sure a smart mind, or an intuitive mind, will be able to glean a lot from there. So they will definitely get a lot of information at the right time. If needed, they can always connect with me. They don't have to read it and call me right away. But when the right time comes, if they have to, we will absolutely talk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How long does a reading typically last when you when
Half,
you?
I typically do half an hour readings. 30 minutes is. I mean,
Oh,
sometimes depending if there are more family members, it might go for 1 hour. That's it, not more than that. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And you do this on Zoom, right, or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. We do it like this. We
Yeah,
see each other,
yeah.
and yeah, we see each other, and yeah. I was actually working with this one girl out of Ireland lately, who's yeah. But it's also important to understand that people should know that I do numerology and I do what I do. I'm not a doctor or anything, right? It says on my
Right,
website.
right.
Yeah, I'm just I
Do you
do.
practice meditation as well?
Yes, I
Is that
do.
a big part of what you do with the numerology?
No, I yoga and meditation is what I've learned myself, and I practice it very seriously. I'm big into meditation. I twice a day. I do my yoga. I'm more
Hmm.
outdoors. I live in my own world, but I definitely do a lot of meditation. I do. I
Yeah,
believe in the power of manifestation, and I have my own techniques to do that. Yeah.
yeah. What did you think of The Secret when it came out? That whole big the book and a movie, and it was a documentary
Mhm.
of manifesting. Did that impact you in any way during your journey of self-discovery?
Yeah, I did. I did. Look at that. But I don't think I used much from there. I I felt that I visited. I normally I always do. I visit powerful spiritual centers in India. Pretty much
Mm,
everywhere. They are very powerful spiritual places there where you go and pray. And I feel that God will give you whatever you want.
yes.
So I go like that, and I yeah, I go like that. Otherwise, what I do for manifestation, I do journaling as well. I write things down every day in the morning, for about half an hour.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So journaling, I think, is very powerful too. And I started doing this about 15 years ago. So you write your intentions down. I mean, whatever you want, you keep reiterating it every day. That's very powerful. But I do feel that if you give all the time, if you have a giving hand, if you have a giving hand, a lot of your problems will be gone. I
Yeah,
believe that
that's
very
so
strongly.
true.
Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, it's written in the Bible all over the place too. So,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter what religion you are.
Yep.
Um, you can't expect to live a life without giving in
Mhm.
some fashion. When you journal, do you write the numbers down in your journal to give them more power? Does that make them more powerful, or it doesn't matter?
No, no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just writing it down, right? I mean, you can write anything you want, right? I mean, whatever you want, right? You can write it down in a certain way. Oh, I want a beach house, right? Write
Yeah.
something like that. you want new Range Rover, right? Whatever, right? So I
Right.
mean, yeah. So I mean, dream big. I believe in that. When you
Yeah.
write, dream big. I believe in that. Dream big. Don't dream. Yeah, big dreams. Yeah, big
Yes,
dreams.
absolutely. So, anything in closing that you'd like to share with our listeners? Um, anything, any last words of sage advice, or
Yeah.
just basically everything you've said?
Yeah, I mean, whatever I said, I mean, this is, I've lived this energy, right? Whatever I've written in these books is my own life experience, and like I mentioned in the book, right? I started with a goose egg, right? And and God's given me way more than I had dreamt of, right? And
Yes.
numbers have played a very, very important part in my evolution here. So I'd say, there are many schools of thoughts, but do consider it. I mean, give it a thought, read it, and I'm sure you'll be more aware, and you'll definitely gain a lot from them.
Oh, yes, definitely. And, we all thank you so much. And
Thank
of
you.
course, I'll have the link to where folks can grab a copy of your book or get a Kindle copy, whatever they can manage. And we'll put your Instagram and your website as well. And I will be in touch and I'll let you know as soon as this airs.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. It's great
Thank
being with you. Thank
thank
you.
you, Jesse. Have a blessed rest of your day,
You too.
dear.
You too. Right.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Well, I'm so intrigued by this conversation. Jesse's been incredibly insightful and given us a lot of thought provoking things to think about today regarding numbers and so much to consider, so much to understand how to change your vibration using practical steps of patching for home numbers and other wonderful examples. So, for everybody listening, I definitely enjoyed reading this book. I'm going to read it again because there's a lot in it that, I would love to revisit. The Power of Home Numbers, it's called, and it's by Jesse Kalsi. It's truly transformative in the way that you think about your living space and by extension, your life. So definitely check it out. And thank you all again so much for joining us today. You've been listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And of course, we're both live and we do offer a pre-recorded show. The pre-recorded shows air on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's for folks that either can't make the live or if we're booked, like we're booked up in advance and we want to get this message out there sooner. So we offer a Friday airing as well. And of course, you can listen to United Public Radio and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Please support all of our other hosts. We have topics ranging from ancient history to ufology, paranormal, extraterrestrial theories, conspiracy theories, cryptozoology, you name it. This network offers it to you. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.